of foot. So in this we also discuss the concept of peripheral heart, then the explanation of anatomical basis of rupture of calcaneal tendon, and the factors maintaining arches of foot and their importance. So first we will start with the concept of peripheral heart. The muscle pumps of calf provide motor force for venous return. This is called calf muscle pump and is thought to function as peripheral heart. The calf muscle pump is easy to understand by simple example of hand pump bulb of sphygmomanometer. Coming to the bulb of the BP apparatus, when the hand bulb is squeezed, the intake valve is closed and the outflow valve is forced open. Air is pumped into the cuff at high pressure. When the hand bulb is allowed to relax, the bulb re-expands. The inflow valve opens to allow refilling of the bulb. Thus, each segment of the calf muscle pump works in the same way as the hand bulb of sphygmomanometer. Coming to concept of peripheral heart, inflow to the deep veins is through intake valves from peripheral veins as well as from the deep vein segment below. Outflow is through outflow valve to the deep vein segment above. Squeezing of vein segment occurs when muscle contraction occurs and the pressure within the facial muscle compartment increases. Then we go to anatomical basis of rupture of calcaneal tendon. The Achilles tendon injury is the most common tendon injury. The majority of acute ruptures are seen amongst the weekend warriors in their 4th and 5th decade of life. There is one watershed. What is watershed? The Achilles tendon is enveloped by a paratenon that serves the function of allowing the tendon to glide freely and providing the majority of blood supply to the tendon. But distally, the blood supply is mainly derived from the osseous contributions, that is from the calcaneal bone. So, there is a watershed area approximately 2 to 6 centimeters from the insertion of calcaneus. There are two theories. One is degenerative theory. The degenerative theory states that chronic degeneration of the Achilles tendon predisposes to a tear at loads that are physiological. Another theory is mechanical theory. This theory states that strong contraction of gastrocnemius soleus complex may be enough to result in an acute rupture even in healthy Achilles tendon. Then we go to discuss the factors maintaining the arches of foot. Bones of the foot are formed by small bones containing multiple joints. Thus, elastic arches are present in foot to sustain the body weight. Functions of arches. The arches cause distribution of weight in the foot. The concave plantar aspect of the sole protects the vessels and nerves of the foot, and the arches of foot make foot pliable for uneven ground. There are two arches. There are two longitudinal arches. One is called the medial longitudinal arch. The other one is called lateral longitudinal arch. Coming to medial longitudinal arch. Bones forming medial longitudinal arch are the calcaneus, talus, navicular, 3 cuneiform and medial 3 metatarsals. The summit of medial arch is formed by head of the talus. The posterior pillar is formed by medial calcaneal tubercle, medial tubercle of calcaneus, and the anterior pillar is formed by heads of the medial 3 metatarsals. The joints formed are mainly the talocalcaneo-navicular and subtalar joints in the medial longitudinal arch. Then coming to factors maintaining medial arch. First, the bones themselves is one of the factors. The shape of the bone play main role in the maintenance of arches. Then we go to another component, that is ligaments. There are several ligaments. So one ligament is plantar ligament that binds the bones of the arches. Plantar ligaments. Then plantar calcaneo-navicular, or also called a spring ligament, supports the head of the talus. Other ligaments are interosseous ligaments connecting adjacent bones. The deltoid ligament from tibia to navicular is another ligament. Then there is one interosseous talocalcaneal ligament. So these are the factors, ligament factors, which maintain the medial longitudinal arch. Then we go to the component of muscles, tendons and aponeurosis. They are together discussed. Muscles, tendons and aponeurosis. Flexor hallucis longus works as bowstring. Other muscles are flexor digitorum longus. Then tibialis posterior help in the inversion and also foot support. From below, there is plantar aponeurosis, that is the main binding structure, and from above, the tibialis anterior along with deltoid ligament support the arch. Then we go to factors maintaining the lateral arch. So first we discuss the bones forming the arch. So bones forming the lateral arch are calcaneus, cuboid, 4th and 5th metatarsals. So lateral arch summit is formed by subtalar joint. The posterior pillar is formed by medial tubercle of calcaneus. The anterior pillar is formed by heads of 4th and 5th metatarsals. The main joint formed is calcaneo-cuboid. Then coming to factors that maintain the lateral arch. First is the bony factor. The shape of the bone play a main role in the maintenance of arches. Then we come to second component, that is ligaments. The plantar ligaments bind bones of the arches. Then lateral part of palmar aponeurosis is the main binding structure. Long plantar ligament support joints between calcaneus, cuboid and metatarsals. And short plantar ligaments support calcaneo-cuboid joint. Then other factor, that is muscles, tendons and aponeurosis, are discussed together. So lateral part of flexor digitorum brevis, tibialis posterior and other muscles. Then tendon of peroneus brevis and peroneus tertius support from above. Peroneus longus tendon maintains lateral arch by supporting the arch from below. And plantar aponeurosis acts as thigh beam. Then upright anatomy, there is one condition called as pes planus. Absence of arches causes pes planus or flat foot. Flat foot causes compression of nerves and vessels. Then there is another condition called as claw foot or pes cavus. It is exaggeration of longitudinal arches and the foot remains in plantar flexor condition. Also there is dorsiflexion at the metatarsophalangeal joints and plantar flexion at interphalangeal joints. This condition occurs in spina bifida and poliomyelitis. Thank you.